Chrissy's clothes were too tight. There was a pink welt across her stomach from where her pants were digging into her skin. She untucked her shirt and then opened the top button of her trousers beneath it. Better. She took a long, deep breath, then got out of the car. She walked down her driveway to the house next door, where her neighbour, Linda, had been babysitting for Chrissy while she went to her work meeting. Chrissy knocked on Linda's front door, but there was no response. 100 scenarios played out in her head. Linda had had a heart attack and died, leaving Chrissy's 10-month-old daughter alone with a corpse. Or Linda was actually completely unhinged and had abducted her. Chrissy knocked again. "One moment," came Linda's voice from inside. Then the door swung open and there was Linda with baby Jude on her hip. "Sorry, I was just changing her." Chrissy pulled her daughter into her arms and gave her a tight cuddle. Jude snuggled into her chest. "Thank you for looking after her. I appreciate it more than I can say. She's been no trouble at all. Come on in, sit down. Do you want a cup of tea?" Chrissy came inside and settled into one of Linda's soft leather couches. Now she felt bad for imagining Linda was dead or insane. Her neighbour had always been nice to her, and she wasn't that old. Late 60s was hardly elderly these days. Plus, Linda was agile and fit from all her dog walking. She was probably in better health than Chrissy. Chrissy tickled Jude's feet until she giggled. Then she swayed her daughter back and forth on her lap, like she used to when Jude was a newborn. "How did it go? Are you starting up again next semester?" Linda asked, putting cups of tea down on the coffee table. Chrissy was a university journalism lecturer and tutor. She loved her job and her students. She loved the huge campus with its winding pathways, weeping willows, and 1960s buildings. What she didn't love was her boss. It didn't pan out the way I'd hoped. "Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that," Linda said, sitting down across from her. "What happened?" "The department head split my courses between 2 other teachers while I was on leave, and he doesn't feel right about taking the classes back off them." Chrissy really didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to talk about the hundreds of unpaid hours she'd spent creating assignments, developing the course structure, not to mention preparing for each of her lectures. And she really didn't want to talk about the expression of fake concern on the department head's face during their coffee meeting this morning when he'd told her about his decision. "If any new classes came up," he said, "she'd be first on his list." She wasn't going to hold her breath. Things had been awkward between them ever since he'd made a pass at her at the Christmas party a few years ago. "But aren't those your classes?" Linda pushed. "Haven't you taught them for the last 4 years?" "Well, yes," Chrissy said. "But I'm a sessional, which is essentially just a casual. Most of the department is now. I didn't even get maternity leave. It was technically just an unpaid absence." She looked around for a change of subject. Her disappointment was too raw, and the financial panic that was creeping in wasn't something she wanted to share right now. Her eyes snagged on a photograph on Linda's mantel. In it, 4 young women grinned with their arms wrapped around each other. Behind them was a white blanket of snow, the black wires of a chairlift, silvery peaks in the far distance. "Oh, wow, that photo is gorgeous. What a throwback. When was it taken?" Linda looked over. She smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. 1980. That's me, actually, in the magenta. And 3 girls I met when I worked at a ski resort one season. Chrissy went over to get a closer look, Jude on her hip. Now that she was closer, she could see clearly that one of the women was Linda. She still had those high cheekbones and big lash-rimmed eyes. The magenta of her snowsuit had faded in the photo, along with the red, yellow and blue the other women were wearing. The colours had probably been bright back then. Now, the image was bleached by decades of sunlight. How old were you? Young. Unbearably young. I thought I was an adult, but I was a child, really. I must have been about 20 or 21. Honestly, it was probably the most fun I've had in my life. Initially, anyway. Chrissy looked back at her. Are you still in touch with them? No, it was a strange time. There was a murder when we were there. A double murder, actually. A couple were buried in the snow. They didn't find them for weeks, not until the ice melted. Linda looked past Chrissy at the photograph for a few seconds, an unreadable expression on her face. Then she tore her eyes away. Anyway, it was donkey's years ago now. Still, I miss those girls. They were great friends. One of Linda's pugs came over and laid its head in her lap. She stroked its velvety head. Is it time for walkies? She asked. Chrissy took the cue, thanked her again, and made her way out of Linda's little red brick house with Jude on her hip.